Welcome to Strange and Stranger the podcast, a podcast of a strange girl talking about strange things. Rambling is an art. Hi, welcome to today's podcast. I'm Catherine, and I'm here to ramble. Today's a bit of a strange episode. I don't always want to be a super political person. I think that there's plenty of people out there doing that, doing it well, doing it amazingly. I watch a lot of those. I listen to a lot of those. But it's a topic you can't get around talking about. A president who tweets his every single feeling has exploded onto the scene, and they'll impeach him soon enough, and then we've got Mike Pence, and that's a whole nother debacle. But instead of talking about that mess, I thought I would bring up a story from my past that it reminded me about. So once I had to do jury duty for an obstruction of justice case, which is really fitting since that's probably what they'll impeach the crazy orange melon for. So you get these jury summons. This was back when I was living in the States. I have not had to do it here in Australia. But at this point, I think I could opt out due to, medical reasons. So, woohoo! Perks of being chronically ill, I guess. But in the States, I had to do the jury summons. It was crap. I had to take the day off of work. I got paid, a grand total of, $30 for the day. Which, I had to do way more work than I would have had to at work. Work paid me a grand total of, $20 or some crap like that. And so, I really missed out. I had to get up early. I had to be at the courthouse, at some ridiculous hour, 7 a.m., because they took us through this whole, hour and a half video what it means to be a juror. It's your civic pride. It was horrific. It was straight out of the 1980s. They need to update those films. Man, put some humor into it. Put some continuity. Even an attractive person might have helped. They were just bad videos. So we had to sit through an hour-long video and then a speech of how you have to take this seriously, and if you don't, you can face fines. So, a previously innocent person walks into a courthouse, becomes a juror, and then, all of a sudden you could be faced with, 10 different things that you've done wrong. And you're like, whoa, I really don't want to be here. Then they march you all up and they put you into different... So there's 400 people. And they separate you into 4 different rooms. You get a number. And they call you up case by case. So they call up however many, I think it was 9 at a time. Call you up. And then they ask you a series of questions. Are you biased towards the police? Are you biased against the police? Do you think that people's personal property this? And it wasn't a serious case, so they didn't ask us a lot of questions. They were kind of yeah, anybody will do. Let's go. I happened to be in the first lot that were picked, and we were ushered into a different courtroom. As we were leaving, they called the next 9 people, and they were starting it for another case. I don't know how many court cases were going on that day, but they made us sign forms saying if we were sequestered, and it was like, you're terrified going into this thing. Like, what have I gotten myself into? I was like, I should have pled that, like, I think the cops are always right and they're never wrong. So I can't be objective or some crap like that. Like, honestly, really should have. Then I could have, like, gotten out in there. Wouldn't got it paid, but, like, I wouldn't have had to sit through this day of just, like, bleh. Anyhow, what can I remember about the case? So we all got there. I happened to be the person sitting in the front closest to the judge, so they elected me chairperson, which was really horrifying, and like, why? No thanks. But, yeah, go ahead. Yay. So, yeah. I got the instructions, and I had to read the instructions to the other jurors when we got into the room, and then I had to come back and say what our verdict was, and it was just, you have to, like, speak to the defendant, like tell them what you've what the lot of you have decided. Anyhow, so we start hearing this case. Basically, there was a 911 call by a female in the house. The police arrived. They've been to this house, like, they know the situation here. This isn't like a first time call out. And then the guy is using his vicious dog and being like, yo, you can't come in my house. Oh yeah, I'm from the ghetto. This guy was ghetto. It was all ghetto. It was Richmond, Virginia. It was Fulton Hill. It was Churchill. It wasn't the suburbs. Let's just leave it at that. Anyhow, so this guy's intimidating the cops with his dog. The cops are like, hey, you gotta listen. The woman comes to the door and is like, no, never mind. I don't want to deal with this. Y'all can leave. The cops leave. But later they come back and they place him under arrest for obstruction of justice. There may have been other crimes committed, there may have been other things, but this is what they could make stick. Obstruction of justice with his growling dog. So we're like, okay, whatever. So we go back into the little penalty box. It was this, like, stuffy little room with a table. And, like, that was it. And, like, some of the people were like, police are always getting on them cases. And some people were like, the police wouldn't arrest him if they didn't have a good reason. And then, like, there's very specific instructions. And it's like, based on purely the evidence of obstruction of justice, and they, like, listed out what obstruction of justice is he guilty or is he innocent? I think it took us 10, 20, maybe 30 minutes to come up with technically he is guilty of obstructing justice in, like, sort of. And we're like, there's more to this story, but, you know, that's all we've got. So I come back, we find him guilty. Which then means that we have to decide what his sentence is. What? So now we have to go through a whole other section of the defense and the prosecution. So now the state pulls up this long rap sheet of burglary, theft, assault with a weapon, this, that. Like, so that was in 2008, 2009, since, like, the early 90s. So, like, my entire life, this dude, adult male, has been in and out of jail, and, for different crimes. So obviously there was other issues that they couldn't make stick this time, but that was, obstruction of justice. The defense's argument was he had a job at McDonald's and he has a kid to support, so don't put him in jail. So we go back, and pretty much like 50-50. Some people were like, dude, there's obviously something going on here. And it was like, we could give him no punishment, or like 2 years in jail and like a $5,000 fine. And we were all like, well, if they couldn't get him on any of the other stuff, I don't think jail's like a thing. Like, let him keep his job. So I think we ended up fining him like $1,200 or something. Anyhow, so like that took from like 7 o'clock in the morning to like 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I was just really thankful I didn't have to come back the next day. I was like, come on, let's get out. Let's get out. I'm done. I'm so done. Anyway, I've always watched a lot of lawyer dramas and things like that. Cop dramas, crime investigations. But like now, when I look at the jury, I just feel really sorry for them suckers. Like, them suckers are just like, we get notepads and you just like, I don't want to write notes. I don't want to be here. I guess some people really want to do their civic duty, but the majority of the feeling in the room was, I really, really don't want to be here. Why? This sucks. Ugh. Anyhow, that was my experience with being a juror. That's like a really far tangent from what's in the media these days. But I'm gonna let what's in the media be in the media, and I'm gonna let what happens happen. I played my part. I've done my role. Yeah, the rest is up to the legal system, I guess. Oh man, it's rather insane. I think that some of these shows like Veep have a hard time because how do they make anybody look more ridiculous than Sean Spicer? Oh man. But hey, yeah. So that's just one of my stories from my past that sort of popped into my brain today as I was thinking about all of the ridiculousness that is current political culture, which I find myself very fascinated by. And being chronically ill, I have lots of time to read about. I have lots of time to read internet articles. I try and read a bit of both. I have a lot of time to watch things like Stephen Colbert and Seth Meyers and dude, he's digging himself a hole. It's a really, really big hole. But yeah, I don't know. I really don't. But that was my experience as a juror. Hopefully you had a laugh at how ridiculous that was. Because, that's what's up.